Hi everyone, it's Amanda. It's the 28th of October 2018, Sunday morning. Clocks went back here in the UK last night, so I'm up and it's freezing cold. I'm just going to do a little bit of work before going out later. I wanted just to come online for a few things really. I wanted to offer my sympathies and my love to the town of Pittsburgh in USA, where there was another shooting yesterday, this time in a synagogue. Metatron is reminding me, I think the name of the synagogue was the Tree of Life. The first thing that I felt when I heard the news was, wow, symbolism there in the name, the Tree of Life. Feels like the tree, society, is rotten at the moment. And society is going to have to clean up its act. We see it all around us, and this week in particular has been particularly bad in terms of hate. I posted this on my page, I don't know, start of the week. Hate begets hate. Violence engenders violence. Hypocrisy is answered by hypocrisy. War generates war, and love creates love. In a nutshell, that's the truth, and it's a reflection of what is going on at the moment. So, the latest hate crime in America, this time targeting the Jewish community, is appalling. Sending love to anybody that's been affected by that, obviously helping those that have passed across the Rainbow Bridge also. But it is part of a much wider problem. And the aspect of it that Archangel Metatron is focusing in on right now to help us identify one of the main reasons why it's exploding at the moment, hate, and what we can do to reverse it, is to do with our words. The words that we use to each other, whether they're coming from a place of love or whether they're coming from a place of judgment, intolerance, aggression, and ultimately hate. We see it in leaders on the world stage who are exhibiting speech that is inciting hate. I'm going to come away from America now because it's just too easy to trigger people as soon as you mention names there. So I'm going to bring it back to the UK as a maybe safer place to use an example from the last week or so here. I'm just going to bring up an article. Now this happened a week ago. It's posted on the 22nd of October, this article. And it relates to some hate speech that was directed towards Theresa May by her own MPs. This is how bad it is. This is by her own party. These are grown-ups. These are people in positions of power. And this is some of the language that was directed at her in the last couple of weeks. I'm going to just read you. It's just a very short paragraph. It says, pro-Brexit MPs told weekend newspapers that Mrs May's Brexit plans meant she was about to enter the killing zone and advised her to bring her own noose. quotes. Those are actual words that have been used. Killing zone and bring her own noose. To a showdown with Tory backbenchers later this week. One of these MPs told the Sunday Times, one of our leading broadsheet papers here, and this is their words: "The moment is coming when the knife gets heated, stuck in her front and twisted. She'll be dead soon." Now, that actually generated a response in Parliament. I think it was the opposition party came to her defence. It was another woman, Yvette Cooper in particular, and just said, these violent attacks and jibes against anybody are not just unnecessary, are, well, I'm speechless, to be honest. I'm actually struggling to find the words, because if we just read that back, this is what an MP in Parliament has said about their own Prime Minister. "The moment is coming when the knife gets heated, stuck in her front and twisted, she'll be dead soon." Now, they meant that symbolically in terms of her plans for Brexit. But the point is that words have energy. And once you utter them, they have a consciousness that ripples out into the universe and comes back, whether to you or to somebody else. So the first thing we're going to do, just to balance what I've just said there in reading that out, is just to send a whole wave of love now out into the universe to counteract that. The point is that I think we can all see in our communities, in our leaders, in the media, maybe even in our own speech, times when we are using words that are inflammatory and that can provoke. There are some people out there that then take it a step further, and the words become actions. But it starts with the essence of the sound. Metatron is reminding me about the start of the universe itself. It actually came from light. But he's also saying to me there was a big bang as well. Doesn't necessarily mean he's talking about the Big Bang Theory, but he's talking about noise. There was light. Noise isn't right, he's saying. There was sound, okay? There was light and there was sound. There was light and there was sound that created the universe, and that universe was created from love. The sound was love, the light was loving. We need to be really conscious of basically holding the light within ourselves to be as positive as we possibly can, and for the words that come out of our mouth or the words that we write, including on social media, which is a cesspit, to be perfectly honest, of derision, judgment and negativity a lot of the time. It's one of the reasons I probably will be coming off Facebook in particular in the new year and moving to a different platform, because those that follow me know that I've had enough of it. It's the only way forward is to change the energy, is to also clean up how we are delivering, how people are responding. But that's the discussion for another day. So speech, think about speech, think about the power of words. Listen to positive people. Be inspired by positivity. Shut your ears to those that wish to bring unnecessary confrontation and toxicity into your environment via their words, obviously their actions as well. A couple of other things I just wanted to mention on this video. I've written down a couple of words here. I wanted to mention 1111. Well, I'm going to be in New York on 11/11, as you know, and I'm going to be leading a group, and we're going to be definitely holding the light, and we are going to be downloading some very positive vibrations, not just for us, but for our communities in the world. And I was reminded, I hadn't fully appreciated this, that this 11/11 is 100 years, it marks 100 years of peace. Armistice Day, which was the ceasing of the First World War. The war was over. It was 100 years ago. 1918 to 2018, 100 years. You could look around you now and say, 100 years of peace, it doesn't feel very peaceful. Well, no, it doesn't at the moment. But compared to what some of our ancestors went through during the First World War, up to their eyes and neck in the trenches and the mud and the blood and the sheer horror of World War One. If you don't know about World War One, it was the war to end all wars. And then what did we do? We went again and did it only a few decades later. We have to learn from the past. I've seen in the last 24 hours a few videos popping up on YouTube. People that I respect as well, talking about 11/11 in terms of, something bad might happen. A few also talking about return of the Dark Lord. Another word for Antichrist, I guess. It's as though we're trying to pull down the energy of what is a potentially very big, positive moment, 11/11, to acknowledge peace, to reinstate that we believe in peace, that peace is possible, but that peace has to start from ourselves. And to only give attention to that. Each of us individually to have that responsibility that we hold peace, we speak peace, we are peace, including, and this is the difficult bit, including to the people that trigger us the most, the situations that trigger us the most. There's definitely I suppose it's obvious. I suppose it's obvious, isn't it, Metatron? Yeah. Because 11/11 is always going to be about the light and the dark. Because 11 is to do with duality. So I guess it makes sense that on a portal which promises to herald in a lot of light and good, we're going to have an uprising of darkness. Maybe that's why all of a sudden there seems to be a proliferation amongst a few people on YouTube who are talking about the worst extreme, I guess, of darkness, which is the Antichrist energy. And whether that is alive and kicking on this planet at the moment. There's a name in particular being bandied around at the moment, linked into a Middle Eastern figure. And I did a quick check on that particular individual's energy yesterday. And I thought, well, I'm not sure, but I don't want to go there. I don't want to go any further into this man's energy. Because what Metatron says to me is, yeah, the devil is real. But you don't go and wave a flag in the air and say, here I am. You just don't. What you do is you concentrate on the light. And you concentrate on the good, and you concentrate on the positive. So please be aware of that, because I know that a lot of the community online, there's a few people that a lot of people follow. And just be really aware of what you're watching and what you're listening to and what you are allowing into your energy field at the moment. If you focus too much on the dark, you're going to attract it. So focus on the light. We know the dark is there. We're not burying our head in the sands and thinking it's not real. It is real. But what do you choose to focus on? Focus on the light. I'm so pleased and so relieved, actually, that in New York, at what I'm calling a masterclass, but we're all masters at the end of the day. We're all on the path, able to be masters. It's not a moment or a certificate or anything that you can grasp with your hands. It's a continuing path. But I'm so pleased that on 11/11 we're going to be birthing the Metatron rainbow spray. How perfect is that? How perfect is that? I have been a colour therapist since 2005. I've been working with all of the individual colour rays. And on 11/11, in a 2018 year, which is also 11/11/11/11, we will bring through and birth with a group of 44 people the rainbow ray energy linked to Archangel Metatron, as though we're pulling together all of the rays of the rainbow, and we will be holding them within ourselves, and then we will be spreading that, sending that out, and we're going to be sending it out to all the darkest places, not just within ourselves, but the wider world as well. And so therefore there is a balance that comes back in relation to the hate and the negativity and the aggression that is out there, that we know is out there. It's definitely a time to hold our nerve, and it's definitely a time to get real. I've been saying that a lot this year. Matt Kahn's latest video on diversity is very good. And there's a line in it where he talks about where we are at right now. This is what I've been trying to express as well. Where we are at right now is where our spiritual principles come crashing into collision with some really hard, difficult moments in society and in our own personal lives. And you can't divorce what's going on in society from your own personal life, because it's all a reflection of each other. And it's like, can you really hold the light amidst darkness? Can you really feel into forgiveness, even if you can't go all the way? Can you really hold peace whilst around you it feels as though everything is falling down? In a way, it is falling down. The old is falling away, but only to make way for the new. All year, every time I do a reading, we keep getting the message about the divine feminine energy that is being birthed. And I've said to you before in numerous videos that births can sometimes be difficult. Well, Metatron went a stage further today when he was reminding me about that, because it's the truth. It's going to be born somehow, some way, and is. And he talked about, he showed me, or reminded me, alluded to, whatever you want to call it. I was shown images of women through many, many generations who had to give birth in very difficult situations. We're going back to the Middle Ages, or, before pain relief, basically. And women, even to this day, in places in our world where there is no medical care, extreme poverty, and women just squat, in the middle of a street, in unhygienic conditions, in pain, sometimes in fear, but just are able to give birth to the child. Of course they are, because the divine feminine knows how to do this. So that analogy of birth, of the new, of this new positive energy that will come in to balance all this hate that we're seeing at the moment, it can happen even in the most depressing, darkest, most hostile environment that you can imagine, because it already has through the ages. So hang on to that hope, because it's the truth. I will end this video how I began, by sending my love to the communities anywhere in the world where there is this explosion of hate at the moment, not just in America, but in other countries too. But really to anybody who's just suffering or who's frightened, and offering my support and my love. And just know that we'll get through this, as we've got through many times like this before. If not in this incarnation, we've certainly done it in previous. The stakes maybe are a bit higher this time, because the birth of what wants to come in is something that's never been here before. That amount of light. And that's why we've got this uprising of darkness in our midst. So hang on, buckle your seatbelts. It's a bit of a ride, but remember that ultimately, light always wins. Much love to all. Bye-bye for now. Have a good Sunday. Bye.